Hello everybody, I'm Sakib. So I'm a first year student at Wolverhampton University. So I'm a full-time student and I'll be doing some work experience with a cost consultancy in London. So been a lot of virtual stuff pretty much throughout the year. About that.
Brilliant, thank you. Hi Zainab, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Zainab and I'm currently a degree apprentice at the University of Wolverhampton. So what that means is 4 days a week I'm at the office working as a cost consultant at a company called Arcadis. And 1 day a week I attend the University of Wolverhampton doing the Chartered Surveyor Quantity Surveying degree apprenticeship.
Brilliant, thank you. And Gerard, not a student anymore, but actively involved in supporting students.
Yeah, that's right. I'd like to be a student still, no, I'm Gerard McVeigh. I'm co-founder of a tech platform called GradFeed, which is all really designed around educating and sort of arming students with all the information they need to go and sort of research employers across the world of the built environment. So we're kind of really passionate about democratizing opportunity sort of right across the sector and giving young people all the information they need to sort of work out, I suppose, which type of companies they want to go and, maybe do some work experience with, or sort of preparing them for that first step out of university and connects them with that sort of first graduate job. So, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, thank you all three for joining us today. We're covering all sorts of things at the Festival of Construction, and I think in the introduction that I sent to all of you, some of our audience are quite young. They're still at school and are really looking at where their journey might take them, whether the construction industry is something that is for them. So to our two students, I guess I'd love to know from you how you came to be studying what you do. What was your inspiration? Who inspired you? What inspired you? And how did you choose the course that you're on? I'll let you decide who goes first.
Go on, Zainab, you can go.
Ladies first.
Yeah. I come from a background of engineering. So my 3 older brothers, one's in electrical engineering, the other done a degree apprenticeship in project management, and the other one also done a degree apprenticeship in civil engineering. So I thought, okay, I don't want to do civil engineering, I don't want to do electrical engineering. I might be interested in PMing. So starting from year 10, so when I was around 14, 15, started doing work experience at multi-global industries. So with really big companies, just trying to get a feel of what exactly I wanted to do. So first I started off doing work experience in engineering consultancies, decided engineering was not for me at all. And so then I thought, okay, let me go have a look at the PMing side of things, done some work experience at PMing firms as well. And after speaking to the PMs there, I was trying to figure out exactly what a QS does and whether I should go down the QS route or the PM route. And after talking to them, I figured out that I should go into QS and quantity surveying and commercial management because I get more of a technical background. With PMing, you don't really get that technical background. So figured that if I want to be at this rate, I had my heart set on PMing, but then I realized that, okay, if I want to be the best possible PM that I can be, then it might be better for me to do the quantity surveying route, so I get more of a technical background, so that when it comes to transitioning to PMing in the future, I'll understand my role much better. So
that is very impressive.
Of work experience.
That's amazing. Sakib, how about you? What's your journey to this point?
Yeah, mine's not as advanced. So pretty much. So I started looking for a job when I was 14. So I wanted to get some work experience in anything. So I started working for a local estate agent. So I was doing a lot more with viewings and administration and junior lettings negotiations. That's sort of how I fell into it. And then throughout that time, we were working on projects where I saw quantity surveyors working on projects and different project managers. So I quite like the QS. What I liked about QSing is that sometimes you're in the office and sometimes you're on site. So it gives you that, 2 parts to the job. You're not just stuck in the office all day. So the firm that will come into the estate agent, I tried to get some work experience with them. So I've done 2 weeks with them at work experience level. and just really enjoyed it. Just really enjoyed the kind of projects that they're working on. They're working on, huge renovations of like old, really old buildings, putting them into apartments and stuff, and maybe even houses. I found it interesting because of the stuff that we're doing and the kind of people we're meeting, and it's just really, really flexible in terms of your balance, of your work-life balance, depending on what you want to do. You're not working 20-hour days or anything. Like, you've got a good 9 to 5 job there if you want it, but you can extend it depending on what you want to do. So that's how I fell into it, and I just applied through a course, because when you're doing degree apprenticeships this year, it's very hard to find any because of COVID. A lot of employees weren't employing, so I've gone down the full-time route, and slowly things are starting to pick up. I've had a couple of interviews, so just gotta wait and see what happens then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange times, and that leads me, I guess, into my next question is, what is university life like at the moment, doing remote learning and things? What I guess there must be challenge of not being able to go on site, but are there other things that you've experienced?
Yeah, so in terms of like the university experience, this is just generally from all universities, not just Wolverhampton, even like, the Red Bricks or whatever you want to say. They are pretty much, everybody's online, so they're not getting the experience that you want to. And with quantity surveying or any construction degree, it's all very practical. Even I've done like a placement this year, so I've done it. I'm still continuing slightly, so I've just stopped because of exams during May, but everything's online. So I'm doing a lot more administration work, so CVR reports, bills, takeoffs, bill of quantities, applications, payments. But all administration work, so we can't go on site, so it's not worth it for a main contractor or anybody, some construction professional who's like, you don't take off labor on site because of, what's it called, social distancing and, all this stuff that's going on. So in terms of that, it is hard, like, but if you're going to be, determined, and you're going to be self-motivated to do it, then you are going to succeed in anything that you do. And universities can be a bit more lenient in terms of like their grading structures, during COVID, and because of like the hard time it's been, the kind of pressures being under. But it's been okay in that regard. In terms of like universities and societies, like me and Zainab, we're both part of a QSI youth group called the Stellar Group, and we're organising events through with employers, and hopefully when everything opens, networking and black tie events, so we get a bit more networking and industry experience and just a better university experience. But at the moment, it's not as good as you want it to be, but hopefully everything will start picking up.
Absolutely. And for someone who chose a course specifically so that they wouldn't be in the office all the time, this must be driving you crazy, being at a computer all the time. How about you, Zainab? How have you found the experience of remote learning and virtual world?
So I'm in my second year of uni, so I've already done first year of uni at university. So I've already been there, I've already done that. So this year, now that everything's online, I personally actually prefer it. I prefer it because lectures are recorded, so you can watch them in your own time. If you can't sit there to actually concentrate for the full 4 hours whilst it's going on, you always have something to refer back to. University lecturers are a lot more available as well, so it's not a case of trying to chase them down around the university, trying to get a booking with them. Virtual working, I must admit, I do miss the office. Unlike Sakib, I hate being out on site. You'll never catch me out on site in my high-vis jacket. You'll never see me there. So I miss the office. I miss the office environment. I miss just talking to random people, if I'm honest with you. But it is what it is, isn't it? So hopefully we'll be back into the office later this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's moving that way, definitely. I know for me, I teach apprentices at another university, and one of the things I found this year and last year that was so very strange was I was teaching people that I'd never met, and they hadn't met each other. So it was a whole group of us who were just practically strangers. It was very strange. But Gerard, how are you finding in terms of sort of people looking for some of these experiences? Because I know for some of the professional qualifications particularly and accreditations, you have to evidence that you've been participating in things. How are people getting around that?
Yeah, I know it's listening to sort of stories there, it's if it's any consolation, it's tough for everyone. You know, we have a reach across 65 UK universities now. We're constantly interacting with students on all different kinds of, whether it be real estate or built environment courses. It's so hard for sort of younger people at the moment. So it's not that it should make you feel any better, but everyone is in the same boat. So kind of don't feel as though if you're missing aspects of it being at the office, or you know, there aren't the sort of the plethora of opportunity out there. It's just a symptom of where we're all at in this strange time. So I mean, going forward, I suppose in terms of a bit of advice from maybe a bit more of an employability point of view, absolutely, as Sakib's just said there, any kind of work experience, even if it's, you know, in a slightly different field like a state agency, just getting your foot in the door, showing that you're proactive and passionate about the industry, I think is so important. That can then sit alongside maybe being on an accredited course. Building out online profiles, making sure now, you know, we've all got access to professionals in the industry, whether it be through LinkedIn or other social media channels, beginning to build up your own sort of personal profile, if you like, and getting in front of those people that might be able to offer experience. You know, there's no harm in sending emails or direct messages and being a bit bullish about it. You know, it's a competitive market for young people. If you want opportunity and there's businesses that you can sort of research and have an interest in, go after them. You know, be a bit of a pest if you need to. Send messages, send emails, get in front of the sort of getting your name in the mind of the hiring managers. So maybe when those official applications do come round, you can, you know, you might just sort of resonate slightly. So it's really difficult, but ultimately, you know, things will come back. Opportunities are already sort of creeping back the right way now. So I think it's just hanging in there and making sure you're sort of doing all those things in the background to sort of keep your profile. You know, if people are Googling as they do now and searching on social media, making sure all of that's in line with maybe CVs and applications. It's bringing all of those sort of virtual tools you can use together with, hopefully when we all move back, you know, offline and actually meeting people again.
And I think that's really important advice for actually all of the students who are watching this today, that even though some of them are younger and maybe are perhaps at sort of GCSE, A-level, I know we've got some T-level students on here as well, you know, the advice is the same whoever you are, wherever you are. Clearly there are sort of safeguarding and age restrictions perhaps if you're really young, still at school, but I know that a lot of schools are actually working with their pupils to help them get ready for things like LinkedIn and that kind of thing, so that you're there and ready to go, because that's definitely what people expect. The whole sort of theme of our event this week is really tied around sustainability issues and the COP26 climate change agenda, which is taking place which is taking place in Glasgow in November. And I know that's not specifically what you guys are here to talk about, but I'd love to know a little bit about your thoughts on sort of sustainability and environmental issues and maybe bigger societal issues actually with the courses that you're studying, but actually the organisations that you're working with as well, if that's something that's a priority. A lot of the speakers this week have been suggesting that that's gradually moving up the list. It's maybe not as far as it should be. Zainab, you work for a big employer. What sort of things do you get involved with sustainability wise? Is that something they take seriously?
I'll be honest with you, it's has been at the back of my mind. It's not something that's sort of been at the forefront, but the company is focusing a lot on sustainability now. And like you said, whether it ties in with the university courses, I think in all of our assignments, there's always that element of, okay, how do we make this sustainable now? So I think we've got to move from so let's be sustainable by doing electric cars, wind turbines or whatever. We need to move away from that and think of a bigger scale now.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the speakers have come up with some amazing ideas. And I think maybe there's just getting those implemented, isn't it? It's taking, getting the industry maybe to take it seriously. Sakib, what about you? What is sustainability something on the course that you're studying or something you're involved in?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely, we've got a module just on sustainable construction technology, something that RICS are quite pushing for, which is the accreditation body. So yeah, I think it is in the forefront of, a lot of people, but in terms of, construction industry is quite slow to change. So I don't know how much is really going to be added, unless it's going to be mandated by the government.
It's that change, isn't it? It's trying to figure out where to start that change from, because I know construction industries, they're very slow in adopting new change. They hate change. They like to stick to their old ways.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you just don't know with, it's just, if they don't have to, they don't really want to.
Yeah.
And unless it's being pushed by the government, and there's going to be, it's like BIM, building information modeling. So if any students know that, it's like a new platform which is seen as like the best thing to come to construction, like ever. So that's been mandated by the government in 2013, and it's meant to be put into place by 2025. But it's still like, you very rarely see it. It's only on government contracts you're going to see it. So yeah, sustainability, it's important. I think, it is becoming a lot where, with Greta Thunberg and just generally just youth, having a bit more of a conscience about it. But construction, unless they're mandated by the government, they're not really going to change.
No, and I know for a lot of the sort of activists and change makers that we've got watching this whole festival, I know that they feel really strongly about it, really passionately about it, and it's one of the reasons maybe that construction isn't actually an industry that they look at, because it potentially does more harm than good, but it has the power to do so much good. It maybe isn't just embracing that as much as it could and it should. Gerard, do you find that I know that the professional bodies are the people that set the exams in the first place, so they may not necessarily be leading the way in some of that, but do you see that there are opportunities coming up for students to get involved in more sort of sustainable things, or lead the way perhaps?
Yeah, I definitely think we're having the conversation, aren't we? So I guess kind of that's the first step, and then I think employers are now thinking about, okay, what can we practically bring into our business that's going to make that difference. And I think that seems to be the disconnect. I think everyone's sort of got a big picture, and it's really refreshing as well hearing students from sort of their first year of university really talking passionately about the environment. And as you said, the construction industry can be sort of notoriously slow to take on new initiatives and make those changes. So it's definitely a gradual process, but employers are having the conversation, and I think now it's just about, okay, breaking down how can they practically input some changes that's going to sort of contribute to that overall top line view on and how the industry can sort of be more sustainable. So it's I think it's work in progress, isn't it? But I think it's really positive that topics like this are just sort of coming up, and more people are now having to think about it, and hopefully that will lead to much needed change.
And I know that climate change is actually now part of the school curriculum, whether that's a lesson in and of itself, whether it's part of enrichment and PHSE and those kind of things. But I my lovely fire starters who are watching this conference today, I really hope that if sustainability is something that is absolutely a passion to you, come and make the difference, because maybe this industry, maybe all industries, are not going to make the changes themselves. They need you because they need to employ you, so come and make it different. A question back to the students again. Obviously the courses that you're doing, you're sort of splitting your time between university and sort of the workplace, and seeing that balance. Is there anything about your course so far that's maybe surprised you, or a piece of information you've learned that you just had no idea about, something that you've really enjoyed or been challenged to learn about? Sakib, should we start with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So the 100%. So, I think a lot of things. So, I guess people who study in T-level, they're going to have a great understanding of just the construction industry just generally, and hopefully you could be getting into an apprenticeship through that. That's really what you'd want to go for, then going the direct university route. But people who are doing your A-levels, whatever, just do business, BTECs, and just people in school, you're not going to fully understand everything that's said to you. It's a new subject for me. It's like, even though I've got you know, my experience, whatever, in a estate agency and a couple of weeks experience in QSing, it's not like, it's different. Like, you know, so even a lot of apprentices say, like, you know, the stuff that you learn in university is different from what you learn in the workplace. And that's what I can say that's resembled with me through my placements as well. So like a big one for me is BIM, building information modeling, where it's like, wow, like this, because construction projects are known for going over budget and over time. So that's just generally what all construction projects are known for, from like, you know, your small renovations to like your big multi-billion-pound projects. Like, you know, I guess Crossrail is a massive example of that. So building information modeling is there to basically reduce the time and the budget of general projects. So that was, you know, very eye-opening to me to see that. And hopefully that will change as well. And it's like, you know, sustainability as well. Hopefully, with more young people coming into the industry through just generally the apprenticeship scheme and just university, that will start to change, because we're getting a fresh intake of young surveyors, which you didn't have before. And the construction industry was very old, and now, you know, got a lot of young people coming in. So I think that's definitely going to change, but still going to take some time to be done.
Absolutely. I mean, your point earlier about how quickly BIM is supposed to be adopted, 2025 is 3.5 years away. I mean, that's nothing. If we're going to do that, we're going to have to do that right now, today. Otherwise, there's no way it will be in place in 3.5 years. And I think you raise a really good point there about the sort of statistically the age of the industry. About 1 in 5 of the industry are due to retire this decade during the 2020s. It's an older industry, and that poses lots of challenges. But again, to my lovely activists who are watching this and who want to grab opportunities to change the world, actually you have the chance to come and join companies and you know, start to change what the next chapter of those companies looks like as those people who set them up originally start to step down. Zainab, for you, have there been things that you learned either at university or at work that sort of surprised you, challenged you, excited you?
It's like Sakib said, things that you learn at university, they're not very similar to what you do in the workplace. I know first year, the modules, they didn't tie in with work at all. I think that was mainly because it's first year, so you're just sort of trying to get the theory and everything. Second year, it was only recently that I started seeing the resemblance between the two. So it was actually for the cost management side of things, so takeoffs and bills of quantities. So it was quite good actually. When we started doing that at university, work had also started a learning course on the various cost things as well. So once we started learning that at university, we started being set assignments from work as well to do takeoffs, bills and quantities. So that was good because they're both tied in with one another. In terms of work/university, have there been any surprises? I mean, 2 years ago, if anybody had asked me, should I consider a degree apprenticeship, I would say it's a no-brainer. Do it. Your degree's paid for. You get a degree. You get chartered. You get paid for working. Everything is done for you. But now I've sort of realized that with massive surprises that I didn't realize just how stressful it would be. So now if anyone asks me, should I consider a degree apprenticeship? I say you've got to really think about it. It's no longer a no-brainer anymore. It's a case of you've actually got to evaluate and think to yourself, right, can I deal with this? I've got 4 days at work. I've got my projects. I've got deadlines to meet on those projects. You think it's going to be a typical 9 to 5, but you end up working out of hours as well. And then you've got the 1 day at university. 1 day is not enough at university because then you've got to catch up on your assignments, you've got to catch up on lectures and everything as well. So and then of course with the degree apprenticeship, you have to do off-the-job training diaries, CPD, you have to start getting your chartership ready as well. So the massive surprise is I thought I would be able to manage everything, but recently I've sort of been, and I'm struggling now. So, and I'm only 2 years in, I've still got 3 years left. So that's the massive surprise for me.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it feels like it's such a sensible balance, 4 days of work, a day at uni, but actually it's Yeah, it's massive. Gerard, just hearing the students, they're talking about their challenges that they're facing, and perhaps the contrast between what they learn academically and what they're learning in the workplace. Is that something that industry is stepping forward to help out with, especially accreditations and that kind of thing, and support, plug some of the gaps?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time we've heard that, sort of, come out of university and sort of had a really good degree experience and done really well, and it sort of comes to practically putting all of that knowledge and that sort of 3, 4, 5 years work into your first job. There is nothing like, being in that working environment, and I think sort of university maybe does its best to sort of cater for that, but yeah, there's definitely nothing like that first job role. So I mean, it's a tricky one. I haven't been down that route myself. I've sort of come from more of a recruitment background, so sort of more from that angle. I just think it's about wherever you can, work experience for us. It's just that's what sort of every student wants. It's a challenge finding it, but I think the more relevant companies you can sort of look at, which is what we're trying to achieve with GradFeed, and just sort of sniffing out those opportunities to get as much on the job experience you can. I think that is as valuable really as sort of flying through your degree and ticking the module boxes.
Yeah, absolutely good to know. Thank you. That's really good advice. And I think probably for everybody watching this, for teachers, I know this is work experience is something that just everybody tears their hair out trying to get it, and as a call to arms that I'm regularly making to the industry, we all need to be part of supporting students, whether or not they actually come work for us. That's not the point. The point is that we all need to be helping to grow the industry and to make it better. Just as we wrap up, thank you so much for joining us. I've got one last question. What would you give as advice to someone right now, sort of GCSE age, thinking about possibly the construction industry as a place for them? Zainab, if I start with you, obviously you've had a bit of a change of experience in terms of what you thought it would be and what it's turned out to be. What sort of guidance would you give maybe to someone younger?
Again, it goes back to work experience. The advice I would give is you might think that you want to do one thing. So for example, me, I thought I wanted to do structural engineering or PMing. You might think you want to do one thing, but do not be set on that. Make sure you evaluate all of your options. Make sure you keep all of your options open. And like Gerard said, make sure you get your foot in the door everywhere.
Brilliant, good advice. Thank you. Sakib, what about you? What would you give as advice to a young person?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I can't stress work experience enough. Nobody's like, it just gives you that one step ahead. And even like from the work experience that I've got, like, I thought like, oh, it's amazing, like I've got great stuff, but employees want more. Like, like it's never enough, and never enough work experience you can have for like what they want. Like, it's really annoying, to be fair. It's really annoying that they want so much work experience. It's like, but you need to get it done. That work experience needs to get done, and make sure, like, my best advice is get on LinkedIn and pester everybody. Like, start messaging people. Like, you are going to get blanked, but what doesn't, I've got blanked loads of times on LinkedIn, but it is what it is, and you just got to move on. Like, especially phone calls and stuff. I've even tried to contact Gerard a few times. I've got blanked by Gerard. What it is.
Oh, there we go.
You've got to move on. You've got to move on, and you've got to, you can make it stronger. It's gonna make it stronger, and employees love it, because that's how I got my placement, through LinkedIn. So I just phoned up as many directors as I could, finding their numbers, and one of them said yes. And you can have 1,000 no's, but you just need that one person to say yes to you. So make sure you get on LinkedIn. That's my biggest advice.
Thank you. It is a tough job market out there. Gerard, any last words to close us out for today? Any advice?
Yeah, I think really it's get talking. I think it's exploring any personal, professional networks. People in the industry that might be a few years on from where you are. get talking, get to understand which areas of the industry might suit you, and just sort of use any, whether you call them mentors, but any kind of that, physical understanding of what a company might do, or what area of the industry they might be working in. Just broaden your knowledge and horizons, and sort of absorb all of that quite early on. And then I think as well, just finally, soft skills are such an important part, as Sakib was mentioning there. Build out your resilience. You're going to get knockbacks. You're not going to get people reply to you or sort of come back, in a time scale which you want them to. You've just got to sort of hang in there, keep chipping away, and stuff will happen if you want it.
Brilliant. Thank you all so much for joining us. I know that there are just a million more questions I could ask, but thank you. And audience, please join me in thanking Zainab, Sakib and Gerard, who joined us to talk about life at university. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant to have you here.
Right.
Okay, thank you. We're now going to take a quick break, and we will be back at 1:15 to hear from our afternoon session of speakers. So get up, stretch your legs, get some coffee, and we'll see you back here at 1:15. Thank you all.